Okay, I wanted to make a project on inheritance, and I think I'm going to do that really quick here. So I'm just going to make a Win32 console application here, and this will be quick and dirty to keep this time short. I'm just going to call this inheritance. Oh, that's apparently taken. Maybe I was working on it before. I'll say class inheritance is what I'll call it. And this little wizard's going to come up. I'm going to hit next. I'm going to uncheck precompile header, security development lifecycle. If you don't have Windows or Visual Studio 2013, you may not actually even see this second part. I don't know if I can't remember if it's in 2012 or not. So, anyways, just uncheck these two. I'm going to hit finish here. It's going to build my project, and great. All right, so I'm going to come over to my project here. I'm going to right-click this and hit add, and I'm going to add a class, and I'm just going to hit class because that's my only option here. And what do I want to call this? I want to call this this is the parent class basically, so I'm going to construct this really quick. Sweet. Alright, so now we have a parent class. I'm going to make some private members here. I'm going to say int value. This is just going to be some private value. And I'm going to make a getter and setter here, and I'm going to say void set value, and I'm going to say int new value. And I'm going to say get value as a setter and getter method for this value for this parent class, because maybe I don't want direct access to this value. Maybe I just want getters and setters. So we can see here that this is a private field if you're coming from Java, or this is a private member. These are private functions that belong to public or methods, wherever you're coming from. So that's really all we're going to do with this class, just for basic clean examples, but we'll be able to see here what's actually inherited and what's not. So again, I'm going to right click on my project here. I'm going to hit add class, and I'm going to add another class, and I'm going to call this the child. And at this point, I could put the base class as parent because I know that I'm going to be inheriting that, but I'll just show you instead. The way that you inherit in C++, I'm going to inherit the public part of parent. And I need to include the parent header so that it knows that that class is existing. So now in this child class, I'm not going to do anything with it because maybe this is my abstract class, or maybe this is my interface if you've gotten that far, or whatever, but maybe I have other properties that are in child that I might want, but in this case we're not too interested. I'm just showing direct inheritance here. So I need to implement my methods really quick. So for the parent class constructor, we're not going to do anything for the constructor and deconstructor, but I am going to declare these methods. So I'm just copying, pasting, and going over to my CPP file here, my C++ file here, and I can denote that this is the parent method here, and set value, and I'm going to let's see, I'm going to set the value. I'm going to say this dot value is equal to new value, right? And if I'm getting the value, I'm just returning the value. So return this value. Alright, that's it. Just setters and getters. And maybe I want to, by default, make the value to equal to 0. So, alright, so we just have our setters and getters, right? Sets the value, gets the value, and now when I close these out here and I go to my child class, I'm just going to be able to, actually, we're going to leave this too because we didn't do anything with it, so we're going to leave our child class for right now. If I wanted to add other members, I could. And we're just going to include our IO stream back in our main page here. We're also going to include our child header, right? And we're also going to, using our namespace std, standard namespace. by default. All right, so great. So at this point now, I can say child, that will be my class, and we're going to set our value here. We're going to say child.set. Now you can see I don't have access to the value that we have made in the parent class. In our parent class, I want the interface. In the parent class here, we made a private value, and we can see just kind of using the IntelliSense here through a visual way to look at it. You can see I don't have access to that, but I do have access to the things that I made public. And you can see here that we're actually calling a method that belongs to the parent class. I could maybe make those methods inherited to the child class, but that's for another video here. So we're going to set the value then, which we made in the parent class, and we'll set it to 10. And then we'll get the value. We'll print it out. The value equals, and we'll say child.getValue, right? That's really all there is to it. And now let me see here. Alright, just wanted to make sure everything was working fine here really quick so I just built the project. And now I'm just going to start without debugging here. And we can see that we access the public method or function that we made with the parent class, and we set the parent value equal to 10, and then we called that another function or method, a getter function, and we just call it getValue. So literally, it's just thinking about what are some things that all things have in common. Just like if you think about your hand, you have 5 fingers on your hand, but not all fingers are a thumb, right? So your fingers all have properties. So it would be each finger has a fingernail, right? You have skin on your finger, you have bone length, muscles, right? So those are all things that your fingers have. They're properties or fields that your fingers have. But then you might want to now make a class for each one. You might want to make a thumb class. Well, thumb would inherit a finger, right? It has all the same properties as all the other ones, but it might now have a couple other extra features or its own specialization. So it's kind of a way to think about it. It's a good analogy, I guess. So, all right, so hopefully that is a little bit clear. We'll be working with it more with talking about inheritance in the future here when we get to generics. So thank you for watching.